Walk the streets of Cairo or Luxor, and you're surrounded by living history, pyramids, temples, and the eternal Nile. Every corner, every stone, seems to echo with the voices of the past, blending seamlessly with the vibrant life of today's Egypt. The city pulses with a sense of continuity, as if the ancient and the modern are forever intertwined. It's natural to wonder, are today's Egyptians the direct descendants of the pharaohs? Does the blood of Ramesses or Cleopatra still flow in modern veins? When you look into the eyes of people here, you can't help but ask, how much of that ancient legacy lives on in the present? For centuries, we relied on art and ancient texts to guess at this connection, imagining a civilization unchanged for millennia. The stories carved in stone and painted on tomb walls seemed to promise an unbroken chain, a people untouched by time. But Egypt was a crossroads, conquered by Nubians, Persians, Greeks and Romans, each leaving their mark. Waves of invaders and settlers brought new languages, customs, and even genes, weaving a complex tapestry of identity. So, how much of that original pharaonic identity could survive such upheaval? Did the essence of ancient Egypt endure, or was it forever changed by the tides of history? The answer was locked in the mummies, but Egypt's climate and embalming methods destroyed most DNA, leaving only speculation. For generations, the truth seemed just out of reach, hidden beneath layers of linen and centuries of decay. Myths flourished in the silence, and the true story of Egyptian ancestry remained hidden. Legends grew, filling the gaps left by science, as people searched for meaning in the shadows of the past. But science advanced. New genetic techniques made it possible to recover and piece together even the tiniest fragments of ancient DNA. Suddenly the impossible became possible, and the silent mummies began to whisper their secrets. Imagine reconstructing a shredded library, letter by letter. That's what scientists faced. Each fragment of DNA was a clue, a puzzle piece in the grand story of Egypt's people. Yet, they succeeded, opening a molecular tomb and finally reading the secrets within ancient Egyptian cells. The past, once silent, began to speak in the language of genes. The stage was set for a revelation that would forever change our understanding of Egypt's past and its living legacy. The answers promised to reshape not just history books, but the very identity of a nation. The search for the children of the pharaohs was about to get its first real answers, and with them, a new chapter in the story of Egypt was ready to be written. In 2017, scientists achieved what many thought was impossible. They successfully sequenced entire genomes from ancient Egyptian mummies at Abu Sir el-Melek, a site that had long fascinated archaeologists and historians alike. These weren't the famous pharaohs or royal elites, but everyday people, farmers, artisans, and villagers, whose lives spanned over 1,300 years, from the New Kingdom all the way to the Roman era. Their preserved remains offered a rare window into the lives of ordinary Egyptians across centuries of change. For the first time in history, we could glimpse the true genetic makeup of ancient Egyptians, moving beyond speculation and artistic depictions to hard scientific evidence. The results were surprising. Their DNA pointed east, to the ancient Near East, rather than sub-Saharan Africa or Europe, challenging some long-held assumptions about Egypt's population history. Their closest genetic relatives were from the Levant and Anatolia, regions that shared deep cultural and economic ties with Egypt for millennia, as seen in trade, migration, and shared technologies. Remarkably, this genetic profile remained stable for centuries, even as Egypt was ruled by a succession of foreign powers: Nubians, Persians, Greeks, and Romans, each leaving their mark on culture and politics but not fundamentally altering the genetic core. The genes of ordinary Egyptians barely changed even as empires rose and fell around them. Daily life continued along the Nile, with traditions and family lines enduring through the ages. This tells us that while rulers and dynasties came and went, the core population remained resilient, largely unmixed, and deeply connected to their homeland. The DNA revealed a people deeply rooted in their land, connected to their neighbors through trade and culture, but not constantly reshaped by conquest or foreign rule. Egypt's ancient population was not a revolving door of conquerors, but a community with a strong, enduring genetic identity that persisted through the centuries. The pharaonic legacy, it seemed, was written not just in grand monuments and hieroglyphics, but in the very cells of its people, a living testament to their history. For the first time, science confirmed what many suspected. The ancient Egyptians were their own people, with a unique and lasting heritage. But what about their descendants today? The story of Egypt's people continues, shaped by new influences, yet still echoing the deep roots uncovered by ancient DNA. With the secrets of ancient DNA finally unlocked, scientists have been able to compare the genetic makeup of ancient Egyptians to that of people living in Egypt today. What they discovered is a fascinating blend of both continuity and transformation, revealing a story that stretches across millennia. Modern Egyptians do carry significant ancestry from their ancient predecessors. The genetic thread connecting past and present is very real. The faces you see on the streets of Cairo today are, in many ways, echoes of those who built the pyramids and painted the tombs. But there's a twist. Modern Egyptians have much more sub-Saharan African ancestry than the ancient mummies did. Over the centuries, Egypt has been a crossroads, and new genetic influences have flowed in from the south. The ancient gene pool was mostly Near Eastern, with only a small amount of sub-Saharan input. Back then, Egypt's population was more closely related to people from the Eastern Mediterranean and the Near East. Today, that's changed in remarkable ways. This shift didn't erase the ancient connection, but it did add new layers to Egypt's genetic story. Each wave of migration, each new community, has left its mark, enriching the tapestry of Egyptian identity. Think of Egypt's population like the Nile itself. The source is ancient, but new tributaries have joined along the way, bringing fresh currents and new life to the river. Modern Egyptians are not carbon copies of the ancients. They're the result of centuries of migration, trade, conquest, and cultural exchange. Every era has left its imprint, shaping the people you see today. So, when people ask, are modern Egyptians the descendants of the pharaohs? The answer is yes, but it's a yes woven with a rich, complex history of change, adaptation, and diversity. Their DNA tells a story of both continuity and transformation, reflecting the ever-changing currents of Egyptian life. It's a living record of the country's resilience and openness to the world. The past lives on in every Egyptian, but it's been joined by new influences, making Egypt's story even more fascinating and dynamic than ever before. The river of ancestry flows on, shaped by every era it passes through, carrying memories of ancient kings and modern citizens alike. Egypt's identity is not static. It's a living epic, written in the genes of its people and still unfolding with every new generation. If Egypt's gene pool was stable for over a millennium, what changed? The answer lies in the centuries after Rome trade, not conquest, transformed Egypt's DNA. The trans-Saharan trade routes brought goods and people across the desert, connecting Egypt to sub-Saharan Africa as never before. Merchants, migrants, and tragically enslaved people moved north, gradually blending new lineages into the population. This wasn't a sudden shift, but a slow, steady process over centuries, as Egypt's ties to Africa deepened. The Sahara became a bridge, not a barrier, and Egypt's genetic landscape evolved with every crossing. Egyptian art shows a spectrum of skin tones, fueling endless debates about race. But DNA tells a different story. The ancient Egyptians were closest to the peoples of the ancient Near East, not modern Europeans or sub-Saharan Africans. Ancient populations often look different from what we expect. Skin color genes shifted over time and don't map neatly onto modern categories. Egyptian art was symbolic, not photographic. Colors reflected roles and ideals, not strict genetic reality. The real lesson? Ancient Egyptians were neither black nor white as we define those terms today. They were a unique Northeast African population, with a range of features much like the Eastern Mediterranean today. DNA frees us from modern racial boxes, letting us see the Egyptians as they saw themselves, simply Egyptian. Their story is a reminder that identity is more complex than skin deep. The myth of a pure, isolated Egypt is just that, a myth. The DNA shows Egypt was always connected to the wider world, especially the Near East. Trade, migration, and diplomacy linked Egypt to Asia and Africa long before the first pharaoh. Foreign rulers came and went, but the core population remained stable, absorbing influences without losing its identity. The idea of purity, is a fantasy. All human history is a story of mixing and adaptation. Egypt's strength was its ability to connect, adapt, and endure. The real story is not one of isolation, but of resilience and cosmopolitanism. The DNA confirms what history has long suggested. Egypt was always part of a larger world. Ancient DNA is a powerful tool. It reveals ancestry, migration, and genetic change. But DNA can't tell us everything. It doesn't reveal language, beliefs, or culture. Genetics is just one thread in the tapestry of identity. The Ptolemies, for example, were Greek by blood but became Egyptian in culture. To truly understand the past, we must combine DNA with archaeology, language, and history. The story of Egypt is written in genes but also in temples, texts, and traditions. Science gives us new insights, but the full picture comes from weaving all the evidence together. DNA is a key, not the whole story. The 2017 DNA study was groundbreaking, but it's just a start. All the mummies came from one site, Abu Sir el-Melek in Middle Egypt. Egypt was vast and diverse. The genetic story in Thebes or Aswan may be different. We need more samples from across Egypt and from different social classes including royals. Technical challenges remain. Egypt's climate is harsh on DNA. But with each new discovery, our picture of ancient Egypt becomes clearer. The story is still unfolding, pixel by pixel. The quest to understand Egypt's genetic past has only just begun. Why does this matter? Because Egypt's genetic story is a microcosm of humanity. It shows that identity is layered, shaped by migration, continuity, and change. There is no pure race, only a tapestry woven from countless threads. Science dispels myths of isolation and purity, revealing our shared, complex past. When we look at Egypt's monuments, we see the achievements of people whose story is now written in both stone and DNA. The past lives on in us, connecting us to the pharaohs and to each other. Each new discovery brings us closer to understanding what it means to be human. The story of Egypt's DNA is, ultimately, the story of us all.